Hi, I'm Mary Beth Stapleton, Manager of Family and Community Partnerships for Harford County Public Schools. Welcome to the Parent Academy Real Talk on Hope, Healthy Outcomes from Positive Experiences. With me today is the Student Support Services Office here to talk to us about hope, and I'll introduce you. First, I'll start with Buck Hennigan, our Executive Director. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Christina Alton, who oversees mental health for the system. Thanks for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And Joe Harbert, who's Director of Health and Wellness.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for being here. So to get us started about talking about hope, what is hope? And what does that look like? And what does the training look like? We want to really share that with parents this year. Is that right?
True, yeah. So HOPE is an initiative we began last fall, but we did training with Tufts University, who really is the one who's rolled out this research. We had 14 staff members within the district get trained to be trainers. And really what HOPE is, it's research based on the fact that positive experiences in a child's life can increase their chances of positive mental and physical health into adulthood. So really it gives a structure to families and to staff of what are those positive experiences, how can we increase them, and the research really shows how that can increase, again, healthy adulthood, physical and mental. So really it's a nice playbook to work from and a good structure that we can give to our staff and to families.
That's great. And so thinking about the positive experiences, what do they look like? What makes up the positive experiences, Christina? How do we know that as parents?
So the 4 building blocks of hope are the framework that we're working from. And I think if I had to choose the one that was the most important, they're all important, but the one that everything kind of starts with that's relationships. Relationships that our students develop and have with their families, with their extended family, and really with any adult when they're young, that helps them to learn how to interact with others, feel supported, and feel secure. So they're 3 other building blocks, but again, relationships for me speaks the loudest and is the most formative building block for our students.
Right, and thinking about those relationships, Joe, I know in your past you were a coach, and so really not just the parent-child relationship, but really having positive relationships with teachers, with coaches, with anyone in their life is so essential. Is that right?
I think every adult in the building has the opportunity to make those connections and build those relationships, whether you're a teacher, a coach, any support staff. What you find is when students feel connected, there's a sense of belonging, they're going to be more successful. There's a reason why they want to be there. They feel seen, they feel heard.
So those connections are essential. And then what are those other building blocks? So we know about relationships. There's 3 others. What do they include?
So the next one that we would talk about is safe and stable living environments.
Okay.
And that includes, those essential, food and shelter and all of those things that we sometimes are able to help families with in school. We're a stable environment for them in our school buildings, and so we want them to be as safe as they can possibly be. There's also engagement, so civic and community engagement, which is also very important for students to feel and for children to feel like they're a part of something bigger than themselves, whether that's volunteering or being involved with youth sports or dance or some other organization in their community. And then last is opportunities for emotional growth. So those interpersonal interactions that they have with other children, maybe under the supervision of adults, so that they learn those, we use our hands for playing, we don't use them for hitting, we don't bite, all of those things. And so those are really the 4 building blocks, and they're fairly elementary. We are doing all of this already. It's
Right.
just really highlighting the impact that those positive experiences have, because what we know from this training is that the absence of positive experiences is more detrimental than the negative experiences for our children.
And so we want to just have as many positive experiences as we can for our children. And so thinking about that in the training, Buck, you'll talk with parents or community members about what that looks like really in a practical way and how they can do that every day.
Yeah, part of the training actually is to go through each building block and to think about what are those resources that you currently have and what are the strengths you currently have, because really a big piece of hope also is let's focus on the strengths in the family, and then to be able to say, okay, here's an area where there's a deficit, and how can I build this up? So, for instance, if a family says, my children really aren't involved in any civic engagement, I didn't realize how important that was. Well, then let's work with the community and with the school to figure out what are those opportunities, whether that be with scouts, volunteering at a pet shelter, working with the church, whatever it might be. So it's really about sort of doing a self-assessment, and we do that in the training, and then also being able to say, okay, here's an area where I need some help. And that's really part of our training for the staff too, is let's work with families to let them know what are the resources available to you. And I was just working with the school the other day, and we were talking about creating a resource sheet for each building block of hope. So here's the things in our area that can help you with building block 1, building block 2, and so on and so forth.
That's wonderful. And Joe, thinking about that training, this training is open to any parent group, any faith-based group, any community group?
Yeah, really anybody who is interested. A lot of our focus right now has been on the schools. And I would just second to Buck's piece, when we're talking with families, there is that focus on building blocks. But in those conversations we've had with the schools, it's looking at how the schools individually work with those building blocks and some of the things that are in place there. And what you do find is it affirms a lot of the great things that are going on, and it also allows them to see where there may be areas of deficits where they can provide other opportunities for connections for students as well.
Well, that's great. So the training is available, and so if you're interested in having your parent group trained, PTA, any community-based organization or faith-based organization, Student Services is available to assist you and to come out and do the training. They have a great team ready to go to spread hope in our community. So thank you all so much for being here, and I'm really looking forward to hearing from our community about these trainings and having these trainings across the community. So thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, parents, for joining us. We'll see you next time.